what's that Nicki Minaj lyric? Life is a movie, but there will never be a sequel. Excuse me? Like, can we please have that energy of like, okay, this is it. So you might as well just go for it, honestly. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For this video, as you can tell by the title, we are going to be sitting down and discussing what is called waiting to start living syndrome, which is something I know that affects a lot of us. But before we jump into this video, make sure to follow me on all my social medias. The usernames are down below. And without further ado, let's jump right into this video. Okay, so what inspired this video is actually a blog post I wrote a few years ago entitled, "What is Waiting to Start Living Syndrome?" And I first heard of this term from Eckhart Tolle in his book A New Earth. And I'm not sure if anybody else has used this term and whether Eckhart Tolle had coined this term, like officially coined the term, but that's where I first heard it and inspired me to write a blog post about it, because honestly it really changed my perspective on a lot of things. And so looking at my analytics, if you don't know, you could, if you have a blog, you can look at your analytics and see what people are searching up, how people are finding your blog, and whatnot. And for the past few years, my most popular blog post has been "What is Waiting to Start Living Syndrome?" And now, since I wrote a follow-up blog post a few years later, that is my second most popular post. And what people are searching up is waiting to start living syndrome, or something along those lines. And that is how they are finding my blog post. And when I saw that, it hit me. I was like, people are still dealing with the fear or like the hesitation to really start living their life. And so I was like, why not sit down and make a video kind of discussing this? Because if people are still searching this up years later after me posting that blog post, then I can guarantee that there are still people who are trying to find resources or find inspiration to start living the life they truly want to live. So what is waiting to start living syndrome? Personally, for me, how I define it is that thing where we have it in the back of our heads that we have unlimited time to where we can afford to say things like, I'll wait until this happens to start pursuing this, or I'll wait until I'm in a relationship to start doing this, or I'll wait until I feel secure enough to start traveling more. Like some of us, well, a lot of us have it in our heads that we can afford to have a mindset like that. And so that's kind of how I define that syndrome. It is a mindset you have that falsely convinces you that you have all the time in the world to start living the life that you want. But I want to share a quote on how Eckhart Tolle kind of defines it. So he says in A New Earth, "You don't have to wait for something meaningful to come into your life so that you can finally enjoy what you do. There's more meaning and joy than you will ever need. The waiting to start living syndrome is one of the most common delusions of the unconscious state." So he said it better than me, but waiting to start living syndrome is that state of mind where we believe that somehow, some way, like we're gonna have a second go at this life thing. I remember Sadhguru once said in a video, he said, we believe that other people pass away, but somehow we're immune to it. We believe that other people only experience that, but we will never experience that. And so that hit me as well when I first heard it. I was like, mind blown, because before I started my spiritual journey, honestly and truly, like, I don't want to admit it, but like I've witnessed, people passing away and stuff around me, but it never hit me that like I was also mortal. Like one day that is going to happen to me. And it's one of those things where like, mortality, you deal with your own mortality at your own time. And for me, it happened very early on once I started my spiritual journey. And I was like, oh my gosh. But the beautiful thing about, actually confronting your mortality is that it awakens something in you most of the time, and it inspires you to start living life now. And so that's what it did for me. And so when I read this, I was like, it put into words what I discovered, waiting to start living syndrome, and what I was seeing around me. So why do we wait to live? And honestly, I'm not claiming to be an expert on the human condition. I'm just an observer, especially of my own self. Like, is it Socrates that said, know thyself? Like, honestly, those Sage advice, very sage advice, because once you start to know yourself more, you just start to understand the human race more. And so I'm really just drawing on my personal experiences and like the things that I fear and notice hold me back in my personal life. So why do we wait and make excuses to start living the life we want? For one, we fear the unknown, and that's so normal. We seek security. We don't want to face the unknown because once you think about it, most of our lives we go to what's familiar, and it's kind of like that thing where it's like, don't fix something that's not broken. Whenever you find a rhythm in life, you don't want to step out of that because you know what you know and you don't want to try anything new that might disrupt your peace. And so the second thing that I notice is a lot of us are stuck in the day-to-day. We're stuck in the monotony. We're stuck in that this routine of just waking up, going to work, coming back home, watching TV for the rest of the day, and then starting over. Like, we're just in that routine, and it's really hard to break out of that once you're used to it. Especially like for me personally, that's why I knew that I needed to leave my hometown once I graduated high school, because especially in small towns, that's why people like, now I feel like this advice applies to anybody across the board. Leaving your hometown is crucial to your development, in my opinion. Like, if there are studies on this, please let me know down below, but I really feel leaving your hometown as soon as you can is going to work wonders for your self-discovery and your self-growth. Because honestly, especially in small towns, I can only speak for myself. I'm in a small town in Mississippi. That's where I grew up. And a lot of people, you know, kind of follow the traditional way of life. And there's not that much diversity here, both in, you know, race, which is, I'm not trying to make it about that, but also in lifestyles. It's like not that diverse. It's a very one way, you know, way of living and a path that people usually take. And I knew that I did not want to take that. But a lot of people that I know, and this is no shade to them, and I'm not bashing them at all, it's something I'm just observing, because they let their fear get in the way, and because they're so comfortable in their day-to-day and how their life is already going, they don't even take that step or take that risk to try something new or change up their routine, leave that job and try something that they've always wanted to try. Like, they're just stuck in that day-to-day routine. And lastly, what I've observed was a lot of us, like I said at the beginning of this video, a lot of us are bought into the idea that we have unlimited time. And honestly, guys, I don't like to think too much about this because it really did put me down an existential crisis at one point, because I was like, oh my God, I have to do everything right now because you just never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's not a very healthy mindset to have. So like, I feel like there needs to be a balance. Like, yeah, keep in the back of your mind that tomorrow's not promised, but also keep in mind that, like, you know, life is long, you have time, but at the same time, don't buy into the idea that you could put off things for the rest of your life or for like some unknown perfect moment in the future where everything will click. And so it is a balance you have to strike, and I'm still trying to strike that myself. But those are the three things I observed when it comes to why a lot of us pause our lives and wait to start living and buy into that or develop that waiting to start living syndrome. So now I want to just kind of like jump into, I don't have like a set like how to start living your life. Like, I don't have the answers to that, honestly, because there's really only one thing to do to break out of this syndrome, and that is to really just find out what you want in life and start pursuing it. I feel like a lot of us, and it has to do with a lot of things that are going on in the world, but a lot of us have lost our passion for life. A lot of us have lost our little spark, our enthusiasm for life, especially if you're around my age. And I know like a lot of my viewers are, you know, early 20s, late 20s. A lot of us have lost that spark. I don't know. I feel like we just need to start having conversations about how to find that joy again, find that passion again for life when we're adults, because like there's this thing about adulthood being hard, and don't get me wrong, it is hard, it's difficult, but it doesn't have to be. Like, we don't have to buy into the roles that have been crafted for us from previous generations of adults. Like, we can make adulthood fun. And I've been seeing a lot more of that more recently, like people romanticizing, adulthood, romanticizing, this time. And like, I really enjoy seeing that because I feel like we need to do more of that and encourage more people to do more of that. Because like, just because you're an adult doesn't mean you have to lose that fire you have for life, lose that curiosity you have for life. Anyway, I digress. I feel like I got off topic. But yeah, there's really no other way than to get clear on what you want and to start pursuing that. And honestly, and this is what I'm going to leave you guys with, something I remind myself of a lot is this is it. This is it. What's that Nicki Minaj lyric? Life is a movie, but there will never be a sequel. Excuse me? Like, can we please have that energy of like, okay, this is it. So you might as well just go for it, honestly. Because life is happening right now, whether we like it to or not. And yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below for a new video every week. Yes, I said a new video every week. And honestly, if you want to, go follow me over on Instagram. I don't post as frequently as I can on there, but if you want to go follow and kind of get some, additional content throughout the week, then go over on my Instagram, Aaliyah Inspired, and follow. I've been seeing a few of you guys go over there, so thank you so much. But yeah, is that anything else I want to say? No. So make sure to stay inspired, and Aaliyah loves you.